The VALOR program originally started out with a core set of objectives that we determined were fairly broad. And so we have left those kind of as the program objectives, and they're on the website and things too. But they center a lot around a collaborative decision making, the ability to flesh out ideas, work for the common goals of the industry. So bigger, broader terms that are industry wide and really beyond that. But then we went and came up with 4 objectives and goals for the individual participants and things that they can really have ownership over. Because I feel like instead of just giving people terms and words, once you give them ownership of those, then they can own them. So they are things like becoming an advocate for agriculture, becoming somebody who influences others in legislative policy, for example, being somebody who can help guide the ideas of other people toward collaborative decision making, and then individually also owning a global understanding of agriculture and been able to then embed your own ownership of those ideas within a group, and as an alumni group then represent that forward on behalf of the industry, but a lot more action-oriented, individualized goals. I think one of the things that's really interesting to note about VALOR is that it is housed in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Virginia Tech. And that was something that the stakeholders, when they identified needs back in the years that we were trying to determine the value of having this kind of a program identified, because we are the state's largest land grant. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's only open to people who are affiliated with Virginia Tech or who are graduates of our college, for example. And I have been very clear from the get-go in the time that I took this position that this is a program for our industry. It is to be owned by our industry. It isn't necessarily funded by one group over another. And so in doing that, it's really open to everyone. But because we're affiliated with the university, we have the ability to have graduate students working with us. The funding process will hopefully include coverage of those graduate students for the entire future of this program. And in doing that, it gives us the ability to really look at, especially for our participants and stakeholders, the impact and the value and the gains made by going through the program. So from an evaluation standpoint, we do pre and post assessments, for example, of skill sets gained while they're in the program. We also have the ability to look at what people do beyond that and how they influence the greater industry across the state. We have the ability to look at the economic value of funding somebody in this program and then what it means to go back for them. And the ability to justify to an employer or to a coworker, for example, or even to somebody's family if they're self-employed, what going through this program will mean for them and the potential impacts for their business if somebody needs to be that specific about it, more so than just feel good kinds of things that they've learned. I do fully expect that in every class, when we talk about policy, for example, there will probably be an individual or two that know policy really well, but don't know a specific commodity. And then the inverse is true, where somebody may have grown up growing a certain crop for their entire life and don't really understand what happens once that crop leaves their farm and where does it go internationally and how does policy influence that. And so I think it's the ability to bridge those gaps and let those people share their ideas and experiences with each other that makes the picture totally full.